Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Catherine with A Perfect Place to Start, and today I have 3 rustic Easter DIYs for you, so let's get started. So for the first project, I took these fence posts that I found in my yard and I just decided to glue them together. We're going for the shape of a bunny with the points being the bunny ears. I used some wood glue. It was the Titebond 3 wood glue. And then I used these clamps that I got at Harbor Freight, and I just clamped my wood pieces together and I let that dry overnight. I did have my husband kind of trim off the bottom of the fence posts once they were all glued on. There was some spots where it was really like warped and you could see through, and I didn't want that, so he did go ahead and trim them for me on the bottom. Once I had that all ready, I took my white Waverly chalk paint and I'm just dry brushing onto the wood. I'm going for a rustic look, so I don't want full coverage here. I want it to look weathered, and so I'm okay if there's like heavier parts in some places than others, and I want some of the wood to show through. I do go ahead and do in between the ears as well. This is the base of our project, so I go ahead and do the same technique with the base. This piece of wood came from, I believe, Lowe's. It's like a darker colored wood. It was just some leftover wood that we had in our garage. So once I have those all painted, I'm going to take some twine from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to cut it in to a small length. I didn't even really measure. I just kind of wanted to hang off a little bit of the fence post, so that's how I measured it. And I put about 5 of the pieces on each side, and then I glued a button in between for his nose. Once I have all 3 of the bunny figures finished, I go ahead and hot glue them to the base of our project, and I did use a generous amount of glue. You could use wood glue here too. I just chose to use the hot glue here. Once I have those all glued together, then I'm going to do the base of the project. So I'm spelling out Easter here, and I'm using the poster board stickers that they have at the Dollar Tree, and I just go ahead and spell out Easter on the bottom. I want this to be a rustic weathered look, so I go ahead and take the white Waverly chalk paint and I dry brush over my letters to give them not such a harsh black color. Once I'm done with that, then I go ahead and take my Spanish moss and I glue on Spanish moss to the top of this wooden piece that's our base. And then this project is complete. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Catherine with A Perfect Place to Start. I love to do seasonal decor, Dollar Tree DIYs, home decor, thrift to treasure, so if that is something that you're into, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button and became part of my YouTube family. For the next project, we're taking some of those same fence posts that I found out in my backyard. I had my husband trim them down to a more manageable size, and then I took my orange Waverly chalk paint and I'm just going to dry brush onto the pieces of wood. This gives it a weathered look as well, and I'm not going for full coverage, so if some of the wood is showing through, then that is great. I like how when I dry brush it on there that all the carrots end up looking different. It just kind of depends on the texture of the fence posts, and because they've been sitting out in my backyard, they're weathered and it just gives it a really neat rustic look. So we're ready for the top of our carrots, and I picked up my raffia at Walmart. I know that they do sell raffia at the Dollar Tree. My Dollar Tree has been out of everything, it seems like, for a while, so I wasn't able to find any there, but I know you can get raffia there. So I just measure out an amount that I like for the top, and then I cut that off and I set it aside, and then I do that for 3 different bundles for each of the carrots. Once I have the bundles by the carrots, I just take my hot glue and I kind of do this, like I squish it down and then I put some more hot glue and I squish it down, so it gives it kind of a fluffy, like unruly kind of look, I guess, at the top. And once I have them all the raffia glued on, now I'm ready to just glue the carrots together to make the bunch of carrots. So I take the two longer carrots and I glue them with my hot glue gun side by side, and then I'm going to take that smaller carrot and I'm going to glue it on top so it gives me a bunch of carrots. We're ready to finish off the carrots, and I picked up this ribbon in the Dollar Tree crafting area, and I'm just going to wrap it tightly around the bunch of carrots and glue it in place. This tail of the ribbon I go ahead and fold over slightly so that the seam is more polished when we glue it on. I'm ready to add a bow with that same ribbon into the middle of where I glued it together, and I'm just kind of creating a simple bow that you pinch together, and then I'm going to take some raffia, tie it in a shoelace bow, and glue that to the middle of the burlap ribbon bow, and then this project will be complete. For this project, I took one of those Dollar Tree shadow boxes and I gave it probably 2 or 3 coats of the white Waverly chalk paint. Then I took my antique wax and a chippy brush and I just went over it really lightly to give it that nice antique look. Then I took one of these bunny cutouts from the Dollar Tree. It's one of those ornament packs, and I'm just going to trace it onto a piece of paper. I'm making a reverse stencil here, so once I get it traced on the paper, I'm going to cut out the bunny but leave the background of the white there. That way I can use the inside of the bunny to paint onto my shadow box. For my bunny, I just used my antique Waverly Wax and stenciled it into the reverse stencil that we just cut out. Now we're ready for a bow, so I'm just taking that same ribbon that I got at the Dollar Tree and I'm going to make one of those crisscross bows. So I'm using this polka dot burlap ribbon, and then I'm going to use just the white grosgrain ribbon that also came from the Dollar Tree, and then the striped farmhouse looking ribbon that also came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put one piece of each of those crisscrossed into the bow. Next I took some twine from the Dollar Tree and I just folded it over the bow and tied it really tightly in a knot to gather all of the ribbons together. Once it's all fastened together, I just go ahead and trim it. The smaller ribbon was a little bit too long, and so I just kind of trim it up to make it look a little bit more professional looking. You can always cut your ribbon too long and then trim it. When it's too short, you almost always have to like scrap it and start over. So make sure when you're cutting ribbon or doing bows, you always cut an extra amount. That way you don't have to start over. Now we're ready to attach the bow to the top of the sign, and I just use my hot glue gun to do that. And then I decide to take some more of that farmhouse ribbon and to add just a little bow to the bunny's neck. I decided to take a little piece of that farmhouse ribbon and just cover up the middle where we tied it off with the jute twine just to give it more of a bow look. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments below which of the projects was your favorite today. As always, wherever you are in your journey is a perfect place to start, and I will see you in the next video.